passed through a range of low arches, descended, passed on, and descending again, arrived at a deep crypt, in which the fullness of the air caused our flambeaux rather to glow than flame. As the most remote end of the crypt, there appeared another less spacious. Its walls had been lined with human remains, piled to the vault overhead, in the fashion of the great catacombs of Paris. 3 sides of this interior crypt were still ornamented in this manner. For the fourth, the bones had been thrown down and laid promiscuously upon the earth, forming at one point a mound of some size. Within the wall, thus exposed by the displaying of the bones, we preserved the steel inferior recess in the depth of about 4 feet, in width 3, in height 6 or 7. It seemed to have been constructed for no special use in itself, but formed merely the interval between 2 of the colossal supports of the roof of the catacombs, and was backed by one of their circumscribing walls of solid granite. It was in vain that Fortunato, uplifting his dull torch, endeavored to pry into the depths of the recess. Its termination the defeatable light did not enable us to see. "Bouchard," I said, "Heron is the amontillado. As for Lucchesi—" "He is enormous," interrupted my friend, as he stepped unsteadily forward, while I followed immediately at his heels. In an instant he had reached the extremity of the niche, and finding his progress arrested by the rock, stood stupidly bewildered. At a moment more, and I ventured in to the granite. In its surface were 2 iron staples, distant from each other about 2 feet, horizontally. From one of these depended a short chain, from the other a padlock. Throwing the links about his waist, it was but the work of a few seconds to secure it. He was too much astounded to resist. Withdrawing the key, I stepped back from the recess. "Pass your hand," I said, "over the wall. You cannot help feeling the nature. Indeed, it is very damp. One more, let me implore you to return." "No? Then I must positively leave you, but I must first render you all the little attentions in my power." "The amontillado," ejected my friend, not yet recovered from his astonishment. "True," I replied. "The amontillado." As I said these words, I busied myself among the pile of bones of which I had before spoken. Throwing them aside, I soon uncovered a quantity of building stone and mortar. With these materials, and with the aid of my trowel, I began vigorously to wall up the entrance of the niche. I securely laid the first tire of the masonry, when I discovered that the intoxication of Fortunato had in great measure worn off. The earliest indication I had of this was a low moaning cry from the depth of the recess. It was not the cry of a drunken man. There was then a long and obstinate silence. I laid the second tire, and the third, and the fourth, and then I heard the furious vibrations of the chain. The noise lasted for several minutes, during which that I might hearken to it with more satisfaction. I ceased my labors and sat down upon the bones. When at last the clanking subsided, I resumed the trial and finished without interruption. The 5th, the 6th, and the 7th tire. The wall was now nearly upon a level with my breast. I again paused, and holding the flint-picks over the mason work, threw a few feeble rays upon the figure within. A succession of loud and shrill screams bursting suddenly from the throat of the chained form seemed to thrust me violently back. For a brief moment, I hesitated. I trembled, and sheathing my rapier, I began to grope with it about the recess, but the thought of an instant reassured me. I placed my hand upon the solid fabric of the catacombs and felt satisfied. I reapproached the wall. I replied to the yells of him who clamored. I re-echoed. I aided. I suppressed them in volume and in strength. I did this, and the clever grew still. It was now midnight, and my task was drawing to a close. I completed the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th tear. I had finished a portion of the last and the 11th. There remained but a single stone to be fitted and plastered in. I struggled with its waves. I placed it partly in its distant position. But now there came from out the niche a low laugh that erected the hairs upon my head. It was succeeded by a sad voice, which I difficultly recognized as that of the noble Fortunato. The voice said, "A very good joke indeed. An excellent jest. We will have a many rich laugh about it at the palazzo. He. Over our wine. The amontillado," I said. "Yes, the amontillado. But it is not getting late. We will not. They would be awaiting us at the palazzo, the Lady Fortunato, and the rest. Let us be gone." "Yes," I said. "Let us be gone." "For the love of God, Montresor." "Yes," I said, "for the love of God." But to these words I hearkened in vain. For reply I grew important. I called aloud, "Fortunato." No answer. I called again, "Fortunato." No answer still. I thrust the torch through the remaining aperture and left it full within. There came forth in return only a jingling of the bells. My heart grew sick. On account of the dampness of the catacombs, I hastened to make an end of my labor. I forced the last stone into its position. I plastered it up against the new masonry. I re-erected the old rimporta bones. For the half-century no mortal has disturbed them. In pace, requiescat.